and it's so nice to meet you. Today I would like to present a talk entitled Women More Than a Footnote. So, you must be asking, what does it mean to be more than a footnote? Being more than a footnote means taking up space in the narrative of your own story and not quieting away, not making yourself smaller to fit into the margins of someone else's happily ever after. Now, I'm looking at all the women in the room. Tell me, have you ever felt like you had to become second? Have you ever felt like you needed to be defined by someone else? More often than not, women are often seen as secondary beings. The way that we are defined is by what we mean to other people, what we can do for families, communities. We are mothers, daughters, students, wives, workers, lovers, wives, before we are anything else. Thus, I think it's vastly important that media, storytelling, literature, works of all kinds of mediums tell a story in which women do not have to quiet themselves, but women take up space. And we let other women know that we are not second to anyone. So, in the spirit of putting ourselves first, I would like to tell you a little bit about me. Hello, my name is Adelia, and I am a writer-director, a theatre practitioner, an author. I dabble in marketing and academia, and a lot of fun stuff, and I'm also an avid feminist advocate. So you're thinking, how many hours does she have in a day? What's she doing all of this? Well, it's clear today that I wear a lot of hats, but I like to call myself a storyteller, and particularly a storyteller that likes to bridge communities together. So on top of all of that, my day job is a general manager of Pocket of Pink. So it's a youth-led NGO, and we work to creating safe pockets of safety for young feminist boys and girls. Okay, so enough about me. Let's look into storytelling. Is this picture familiar to you? Yes. Oh, we're very passionate. So let's talk about Hollywood. Have you ever turned on your television and let's say you're passing through, you don't know what to watch, and then suddenly Transformers comes up. And there's a very particular scene that's the most viewed from Transformers. This is going on. And it's a scene of Megan Fox fixing a car. And she's huddled over the hood looking into the engine. She's fixing it. Which, if you really think about it, should be empowering, right? It's a woman displaying skill, displaying competence. She's a woman in STEM, right? But then the camera, it angles down and it trails along the figure of her body, slowly but surely. Suddenly, her skill, her intelligence becomes secondary to her identity and her intelligence. She is no longer a person, she is simply a body. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the male gaze. Now, let's take a look at literature. Does everyone know Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov? Okay, great. It's an infamous novel about, you guessed it, a pedophile. Oops. But if there's one thing that I like to talk about Lolita, it's the fact that the author never wanted a depiction of a young girl on its cover. But today, there are numbers of prints depicting young girls in sexual ways on the cover of Lolita. And we even have a movie adaptation that people can watch all the time. So, this is what happens when films and media aestheticize harm, when abuse of even children becomes an aesthetic. It becomes an art form. And what's even worse is that in the modern day, we see many examples of harm not just being aestheticized, but romanticized. And when we see this enough times, we internalize that it is normal. And not just normal, but sometimes things that we aspire to be because they're edgy, because they're cool. This should not be the way that it is. Because when we watch things again and again, it becomes the everyday. So, My question to you is, do these feel like real women? You think about the women in your daily life, your mom, your sister, your friend, your girlfriend, your wife. Are they the same as the women that you see online? Are they the same with women that you see on TV? Are they the same with the women that you read in your books? So, now you're thinking, Nola, all this Western ideology, why are we watching these? Let's look at local media. #local. So, let's think about something that is very quintessentially Malaysian. Malay dramas. Right? Super famous, right? So, a recurrent trope in Malay dramas is the love triangle. The love triangle often features a centered male love interest, and he's often pined over two very beautiful women, in my view, but they are always completely different. So let me introduce you to the first woman. She is a hijabi, she's fair-skinned, she's demure, polite, never talks back. She's domestically skilled, and she is the perfect, ideal woman. Now, let's think about the woman that is often put as a binary opposition against her. She's free-haired, she speaks very loudly, she's career-driven or career-obsessed, she's urban, she has many opinions about the world around her, and of course, she has dyed hair. Very important. So when you compare these two women with each other, you can already make a guess about who the man is going to choose. Take a guess? It's almost always the first one. Exactly. Why? This is because there is a moral underlying message to these shows that there is only one way to be if you are a woman. And if you do not follow this structured idea of what you have to be, you are then rejected. In these Malay dramas, okay, fine, you get rejected by some guy, it's okay. You live, honey, it's fine. But this romantic rejection is a symbol for all kinds of rejection when you do not follow the idea of what a woman has to be in Malaysia. You are rejected romantically, emotionally, and socially, because you are wrong. And when we watch these Malay dramas, let's say every day, balik pukul 7, we internalize again that this is what is right. And clearly, I don't want to be like her. I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. So I should be like the perfect ideal woman. Now, you must be thinking, it's just movies, it's TV shows, it's not that deep. But in reality, these stories, they do not exist in a vacuum. Entertainment is never just entertainment. I believe that everything is political. Why? Because everything shapes perception. Let's think about a young boy watching these shows, right? And seeing that these men, regardless of their behavior, no matter how much they misbehave or say something misogynistic, he always gets the girl. And a hot girl. Wait. And so, this breeds entitlement. That no matter what I do, I get my happily ever after. And what does entitlement do? It feeds into misogyny. It feeds into the idea that I am better because I am a man. And how does this manifest into the real world? It manifests into violence, harassment, discrimination, and abuse. Now, let's think about what these stories do to women. They tell you to shrink. They make you so small that you start to concave. And when cases like sexual harassment, cases like abuse happen, who gets blamed? You, the woman, because you did not follow the code that we put in the Malay dramas. They ask questions like, what were you wearing? Just open sikit. It's your fault. You should have stayed quiet. But anyway, because you didn't follow the code. Now, I want to talk about what film and storytelling and literature actually mean to me. I think at the end of the day, they are art forms. And my favorite quote about art is by Cesar A. Cruz, who says, "Art should disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. I think the best works of art have the power of shaking up the status quo and asking people, are you sure you are not the one privileged? Are you sure that the way that you live right now is not comfortable because society allows you to be? While at the same time, that same form of art gives people warmth. It provides hope that things can be better, even if right now it doesn't seem so optimistic. Now, do you guys know Banksy? Yes. Cool. He's one of my favorite artists. And this is a Valentine's Day era. It's street art, so imagine you're just walking by a mall, there's like this dingy street that nobody wants to go to because it's like, it's so suspicious, guys. Oh my god, that good. But what you see here is a very accessible form of art. You don't need money to buy an expensive ticket to an exhibition. You don't need education in the arts or an art degree to fully understand what it means. It meets you where you are. As you can see, it's a woman disposing of her abusive partner into an old rusty ventilator. Because bye, we don't need him. But the best thing is, if you're just passing by, or if you're someone who lives there, this is something that you'll understand. And it's something that you feel resonates with you if you're going through the same thing. Because when art is something that is unreachable, people will assume that that form of art, or any kind of art, is not made for them. I want to talk a little bit about my work. In the same way, my spirit and drive comes from a place of wanting to see things that I can relate to, and hopefully in the same way reach to people who feel the same. So I just finished a theatre program called the Young Blood Experiment at TEDxUTM, which is an art collective in Waksamaju. So what we do is we get the opportunity to do 2 10-minute plays and one 1-hour feature play. And one of my biggest, proudest moments was actually this play called Are You Unwrapped? And if you cannot tell by now, Are You Unwrapped is about the hijab. And so it's quite controversial, guys, but it comes from a very honest place. I had the privilege of working with a wonderful performer. Her name is F. Hakim. She's a lead singer of a band called Howard. So we used her music, we used her personal stories, and intertwined them with my own and also stories of people around me who struggle with the hijab or wear the hijab. But most importantly, I think when we talk about issues like these, it often has a clear message of what you have to do. We have this side who's telling you, you have to wear the hijab because it's religion, because it's faith, because it's wajib. And then you have the other side who is screaming and yelling and saying, you cannot wear this, you're not free, you're oppressed. So, what I actually want to do instead is showcase that the experience of people who wear the hijab are varied, and that we are all in phases of our life and our identity that changes tumultuously, and that we are more nuanced than just labels of what we have to be. So, the most wonderful thing is that right after the play, women of all identities came up to me. Muslim, non-Muslim, people who wore tudung, people who didn't, people who wore the hijab but took it off, people who want to wear the hijab but are too scared to, people who never want to wear the hijab, people who are wearing it but aren't sure if they want to keep wearing it. And they all came to me and said that, hey, thank you so much for this. I finally feel seen. And that brought me to tears. And actually they also came up to me, hugged me and cried. And it was a wonderful thing to feel seen, but also letting other people know that they're not alone. But actually my favorite part wasn't even that. My favorite part was when men came up to me and told me, actually, I didn't think it was that hard. You just put it on your head and call it a day. But now, I finally understand. This is the magic of art, if we use it properly. Art is education, art is change. But most importantly, art is empathy and understanding, because it's the only way you can truly step into someone else's experience and story without quieting them down. I leave you. That's so sweet, thank you. I leave you with one last thing. Women are more than a footnote. Women are entire stories. And the next time you buy a book or you watch a movie or you go to the cinema, have fun, I want you to watch it and see where a female character is quieted down and made smaller. And then you ask whoever you're with or your friends, who gets to hold the pen? Or more importantly, who is allowed to? Thank you so much.